What if everything you've ever done for God meant nothing? What if every prayer you've prayed, every service you've attended, every sacrifice you've made, what if God looked at it all and said, "I never knew you"? It sounds impossible, doesn't it? How could someone serve God faithfully, follow all the rules, do all the right things, and still be rejected? But here's the terrifying truth. The Bible is filled with warnings about people who served God with the wrong heart. People who looked righteous on the outside, but were spiritually dead on the inside. People who thought they were saved, until they discovered they were lost. And the most chilling part, they never saw it coming. Jesus said there will be many, not a few, but many who will stand before him on that final day. Shocked to hear the words, "Depart from me, I never knew you." So how do you know? How can you be sure that your service to God isn't just religious activity, but a genuine relationship? How do you know your heart is right? Stay with me, because what you're about to discover might save your eternal soul. Throughout Scripture, God has always been more concerned with the heart than the performance, more interested in why we serve than what we accomplish. And from the very beginning, he's warned his people about the deadly danger of serving him with the wrong motives. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 29, verses 13 through 14, God speaks through the prophet with words that should shake us to our core. "These people draw near to me with their mouth and honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me, and in vain they worship me." Did you catch that? In vain, empty, meaningless. Rejected Jesus himself quoted this verse in Matthew 15, verse 8, when confronting the religious leaders of his day, the Pharisees, the scribes, the most dedicated, disciplined, biblically educated people in Israel. And he looked them in the eye and told them their worship was worthless. Not because they weren't religious enough, but because their hearts were wrong. The Apostle Paul reinforced this in 1 Corinthians 13, verses 1 through 3. He wrote, "Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I am nothing. And though I have the gift of prophecy, and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith, so that I could remove mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, but have not love, it profits me nothing." Read that again. Prophecy, miracles, sacrifice, generosity, all of it. Nothing, zero, worthless in God's eyes, if the heart behind it is wrong. But here's the question that's haunted theologians for centuries. How can someone serve God so diligently, so sacrificially, and still have the wrong heart? How does this happen? And more importantly, how do we make sure it's not happening to us? Let's dig into the anatomy of a wrong heart. Because the Bible doesn't just warn us about this danger, it shows us exactly what it looks like. There's a story in the Old Testament that perfectly captures this. It's found in 1 Samuel chapter 15. God gave King Saul a direct command. Go and utterly destroy the Amalekites. Leave nothing, no people, no livestock, nothing. Complete obedience, Saul gathered his army and went to war. And he won a great victory. But when the prophet Samuel arrived, he heard something that shouldn't have been there. The bleating of sheep and the lowing of cattle. He'd kept the best of the livestock. He'd spared the enemy king. And when confronted, he had an excuse ready. "I kept them to sacrifice to the Lord your God." Do you see the tragedy here? Saul thought he was serving God. He thought he was being spiritual. He was even planning to offer sacrifices. But his heart was wrong. He'd substituted his own judgment for God's command. He'd chosen partial obedience and called it worship. And Samuel's response cuts like a knife through every religious heart. Has the Lord as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of the Lord? Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed than the fat of rams. For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. Rebellion, witchcraft, idolatry. These are the words God uses to describe serving him with the wrong heart. But it gets deeper. In the New Testament, Jesus tells a parable that exposes another dimension of this danger. It's in Luke 18, verses 9 through 14. Two men go to the temple to pray. One is a Pharisee, a religious leader, a man who tithes, fasts, and follows every rule. The other is a tax collector, a sinner, despised by society. The Pharisee prays God. "I thank you that I am not like other men, extortioners, unjust adulterers, or even as this tax collector. I fast twice a week." I give tithes of all that I possess." The tax collector, standing far off, won't even lift his eyes to heaven. He beats his chest and says, "God, be merciful to me, a sinner." And Jesus drops the bombshell. "I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. The religious man, who did everything right, was rejected. The broken man, who had nothing to offer but his need, was accepted." Why? Because the heart makes all the difference. Imagine you're in a relationship with someone you love deeply, and every day they do nice things for you. They cook your favorite meals, they remember your birthday, they show up when you need them. But every time they do something, they remind you of it. They keep score. They make sure you know how much they've sacrificed. And slowly, you begin to realize they don't love you. They're performing. They're keeping a record. They're building a case for why you owe them. And what you thought was love is actually manipulation. That's what serving God with the wrong heart looks like. It's going through all the motions, praying, giving, serving, worshiping. But the motive underneath is toxic. It's about being seen, being praised, feeling righteous, earning favor, proving something. Or think about it this way. Imagine you're a teacher, and a student turns in a perfect essay. Grammar is flawless. Structure is beautiful. Every requirement is met. But when you investigate, you discover they didn't write it. They copied it. They plagiarized every word. The work looks perfect, but it's not authentic. It's not theirs. And no matter how good it appears, it's worthless. This is what happens when we serve God with the wrong heart. The activity might look spiritual. The results might be impressive. But if the heart isn't right, if it's rooted in pride, obligation, fear, or self-righteousness, instead of love, it's counterfeit. It's plagiarized righteousness. And God sees right through it. Jesus warned about this in Matthew 6. He talked about people who pray to be seen by others, who give to be praised, who fast to appear holy. And he said, they have their reward. Meaning, that's all they get. Human applause. Temporary recognition, but nothing from God. Because God doesn't just see what you do. He sees why you do it. And the why is everything. So let me ask you something that might make you uncomfortable. Why do you serve God? Is it because you love Him? Or because you're afraid of hell? Is it because you're grateful for His grace? Or because you're trying to earn it? Is it because you delight in His presence? Or because you want to look spiritual in front of others? Be honest. Because the Bible warns us that it's possible to be deeply religious and completely lost. It's possible to know all the right answers and have the wrong heart. It's possible to serve God for years and never truly know Him. In Matthew 7, verses 21 through 23, Jesus paints a haunting picture. He says, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, 'Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name, cast out demons in your name, and done many wonders in your name?' And then I will declare to them, 'I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practiced lawlessness.' Many, not a few, many people who prophesied, people who performed miracles, people who did incredible things in Jesus' name. And they're rejected, cast out. Told, 'I never knew you.' How is this possible? Because their hearts were wrong. They used God's name, but they didn't know Him. They performed for Him, but they didn't love Him. But they didn't obey Him from the heart. And here's the terrifying part. They were shocked. They had no idea. They thought they were saved. They thought they were righteous. They pointed to their accomplishments as proof. But accomplishments without intimacy mean nothing. The question you have to ask yourself is this. If you stood before God today and He asked you, "Why should I let you into my kingdom?" What would you say? Would you point to your church attendance, your tithes, your prayers, your service? Or would you simply say, "Because of Jesus, because of His grace, because I'm a sinner who's been saved by His blood"? Because the first answer is the wrong heart. The second is the right one. Here's the revelation. Here's the truth that the Bible has been shouting from Genesis to Revelation. God doesn't want your performance. He wants your heart. He doesn't want servants who obey out of obligation. He wants children who obey out of love. He doesn't want rituals. He wants relationship. He doesn't want religious activity. He wants authentic worship. David understood this. After he sinned with Bathsheba, after he was confronted by the prophet Nathan, he wrote Psalm 51. And in verses 16 and 17 he says, For you do not desire sacrifice, or else I would give it. You do not delight in burnt offering. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and a contrite heart. These, O God, you will not despise. A broken heart, a humble heart, a repentant heart. This is what God wants. And in the New Testament, Jesus summarizes the entire law in 2 commandments. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. With all your heart, not with half your heart, not with a divided heart, not with a religious heart that's secretly proud, bitter, or selfish. With all your heart, this is the seal that separates true worshipers from false ones. This is the mark that God is looking for, not your accomplishments, not your reputation, not your gifts or talents or sacrifices, your heart. And here's the glorious truth. When your heart is right, everything else falls into place. When you love God genuinely, obedience isn't a burden, it's a joy. Worship isn't a ritual, it's a response. Service isn't about earning favor, it's about expressing gratitude. You stop keeping score. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop performing for applause, because you're not serving to be seen. You're serving because you've been seen. You've been known. You've been loved. And that changes everything. The Apostle John captures this beautifully in 1 John 4, verse 19. We love him because he first loved us. That's the heart God is looking for. A heart that's been transformed by his love. A heart that responds to grace, not one that tries to earn it. A heart that worships out of wonder, not obligation. So, what does this mean for you? Right now, today, it means you need to stop and examine your heart, not your activities, not your resume, not your spiritual accomplishments. Your heart, ask yourself, why do I pray? Why do I go to church? Why do I give? Why do I serve? Is it out of love for God, or is it something else? Am I trying to impress him? Earn his favor? Prove my worth? Look good in front of others. Because if your motives are wrong, it doesn't matter how much you do. It doesn't matter how busy you are in ministry, how much you give, how often you pray. If your heart isn't right, it's all in vain. But here's the hope. God doesn't just warn us about the wrong heart, he offers to give us a new one. In Ezekiel 36, verse 26, he promises, I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit within you. I will take the heart of stone out of your flesh and give you a heart of flesh. A new heart, a transformed heart, a heart that loves him genuinely, serves him joyfully, and worships him authentically. And this transformation doesn't come from trying harder or doing more. It comes from encountering his grace, from realizing that you don't have to earn his love, you already have it. That you don't have to perform for his approval, you're already accepted. That you don't have to prove your worth, you're already treasured. When that truth sinks into your soul, it changes everything. You stop serving out of fear and start serving out of love. You stop performing and start worshiping. You stop trying to impress God and start resting in his pleasure over you. This is what it means to serve God with the right heart. And it's the only service that lasts, the only worship that matters, the only life that's truly alive. The Bible warns us clearly it's possible to serve God faithfully and still miss him completely. It's possible to do all the right things with all the wrong motives. It's possible to be religious and still be lost, but God doesn't leave us there. He calls us to something deeper, something truer, something real. He calls us to come to him, not with our resumes, but with our brokenness. Not with our accomplishments, but with our need. Not with our performance, but with our hearts. And when we stop performing and start loving, when we stop proving and start trusting, when we stop earning and start receiving, we discover what we were always meant for. Intimacy with God, authentic worship, a life that truly pleases him. Not because we've done everything right, but because our hearts are finally right. If this message stirred something in you, if you felt the weight of this truth pressing on your soul, don't ignore it. Respond to it. Let God search your heart. Let him show you where your motives have been wrong, and let him give you a new heart, one that loves him the way he deserves to be loved. Stay with us on this journey, because we're uncovering the truths that matter most. The warnings that could save your soul, the promises that can transform your life. Your heart is the only thing God truly wants. Make sure he has it.